Star Wars Episode 7. My 5 plot predictions. A countdown. Shh. I know they're bad, but shh, they don't know that. Hi, Bryon Lape, back with something different. Not a review, not something else. So, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, is going to be in theaters very soon. I'm excited. I haven't been this excited for a Star Wars movie since probably Return of the Jedi. The first one came out, Star Wars came out when I was 9. I didn't see the movie back then because of various reasons. I didn't see it until after Empire Strikes Back when it was re-released as Episode 4, A New Hope. But I had lots of the toys. I really was into the story. I think I even listened to it on album, if you can believe that. I listened to the radio drama that NPR had back in the day. Somebody's playing their music really loudly. So anyway, we're going to try to continue. So anyway, what I wanted to do was my plot predictions. There's all kinds of theories going around, and I think a lot of them are bunk, and some people are missing the obvious signs in the trailers, especially the J.J. Abrams approved ones, and some of the Disney ones too. Number 5 is about Poe Dameron. Now, there has been some speculation in exactly when this character comes to be. Based on the age of the actor, it would seem that Poe Dameron is born, about 9 months or so after the Battle of Endor. And there's been speculation about who he is. My take is that he, like Han Solo and some degree Princess Leia, is a latent Force user. And what I mean by that is their reaction times and their abilities are a bit higher than the average person, but they're not quite what you would expect from an actual Force user. So their abilities are more latent and under the surface and not nearly as easy to detect. I believe this is why Princess Leia can withstand all of the interrogations and druggings and everything else by Vader, but he never picks up on her Force abilities like he does Luke near the end of the movie when he says the Force is strong with this one. So Poe Dameron, to me, theory 1 of mine, if you want to say that, is that he's the son of Wedge. And I believe Wedge Antilles was his last name, but I'm not positive on that. Because he's a really good pilot, he's kind of the unsung hero behind the scenes, and it would make sense. I mean, Wedge is there at the original Death Star destruction, though he has to leave his companions too soon. And in Return of the Jedi, he and Lando are the ones who actually blow up the second Death Star. But his abilities to navigate and fly are just second to none, except perhaps Luke, but we'll see. So one theory is that he's the son of Wedge. The other way that I've been leaning on this is due to the actors, the age of the actors between Poe Dameron and Kylo Ren. In that case, they're actually similar in age. So it wouldn't also not surprise me is if they are actually non-identical twins, and one is a latent Force user and Kylo Ren is a known Force user. And that gets to my second theory. So he's either the son of Wedge or he's the son of Han and Leia with Kylo Ren as his brother. Either twin or not twin. I'm not sure on that. Number 4 is about Kylo Ren himself. There's been much speculation that he is the brother of Rey. Though they can't be twins, there's almost 10 years difference between them in real life. But what happens? So I'm beginning to think that Kylo Ren may also not be the son of Han Solo and Princess Leia. He may be the son of Luke himself. So Luke, not knowing all the silly rules of the Jedi that came in through episodes 1 through 3 when Lucas just trashed the entire franchise, he's the son of Luke. About a year and a half after the Battle of Endor, he's born. He shows Force tendencies Luke tries to train him, and unfortunately, he's very enamored with his grandfather, Darth Vader, and he starts to turn to the dark side, or calls on the dark side. There's a falling out. I think Luke, something happens where Luke is fearful of his own powers and becomes this recluse that we've all been told that he is. So that does go against a lot of people think that Rey and Kylo Ren are brother and sister. I can see that, and I'll get to that on another one. But I think one of the things is that he could be Luke's son, and he tries to train him, and it doesn't work, and they kind of split their ways. Kylo Ren is about a 31-year-old, and that would fit. And also it might explain his enamoration with Darth Vader, so much so that he has the helmet that's burnt. So obviously Luke sets him on fire, but maybe he doesn't burn it, or bury it. But Kylo Ren is definitely infatuated with the destiny. He also says in one of the trailers, "our destiny," which makes me really believe that he's somehow connected with Darth Vader in a familial way, not just an admiration. Number 3 is about Finn. It's interesting that Finn has been shown with no last name. In fact, the scuttlebutt is he doesn't even know his real name. So I think he's tied into Lando Calrissian somehow. I've been waffling on whether I think he's his son. He's very young, so it probably, he's early 20s. So it would have to be a good 10 years after Endor, or he's some kind of clone-ish experiment gone wrong. So one of the things that is, where is Lando on all this? No one seems to know. Is he alive? Is he dead? Perhaps he's been captured. I think he's his son. I think Finn is his son. Lando's a bit of a scoundrel, if you will. We see him kind of as the statesman in Empire Strikes Back. We see that he has good leadership skills as General Calrissian in The Return of the Jedi. He obviously can fly pretty well. He flies the Millennium Falcon into the Death Star, aids in its destruction, and then obviously is a bit of a hero. What's interesting in Return of the Jedi, in the closing scenes, the original, not the remastered nonsense that Lucas came out with not too long ago, he's kind of dancing, seems to be dancing to a different beat. He's also kind of looking around like he doesn't belong. So there's a part of me that says there's a falling out between he and Han Solo. Afterwards, he goes his own way, and somewhere along the lines he has perhaps an illegitimate son, perhaps not known to him. Finn, in a way to try and understand his background and being, he does volunteer for the Stormtrooper Corps for the First Order, and that's my belief that how he ties in. I do think Lando is dead, unfortunately. I'm really upset about that. I really wanted Lando to be in the new movies, but we might see him in some kind of flashback remembrance of Finn's perhaps in the next movie. But my theory is that Finn is, number one, he's not, at best, he's a latent Force user. He's not a Jedi. I think the seeing him with the sword, the laser, the lightsaber is a red herring to get us to look the wrong direction. But because he's Lando's son, I think there are some seriously good organization and leadership skills that will emerge. And I also think that his intelligence, because I think Lando is he may be a pirate at heart, but he's extremely intelligent. He's very good at survival, and Finn seems to, what we've seen him, seems to fit that same mold, and I believe that Finn is Lando's son, and that's what will come out of it. Number 2 is Rey. And Rey may very well be the Jedi in disguise. There's lots of clues that Rey is essentially the analog to Luke Skywalker, except she's not nearly as whiny. She's hidden from her, she's missing her family, although she knows she's missing her family, similar to Luke knowing he was with his uncle and his aunt. At least he was with some family, but not really knowing his true origins. I think Rey is going to be the next Jedi that's trained. What I don't know for certain is if she's going to face Kylo Ren. I actually think that Luke is going to turn Kylo Ren similar to what he did with his father, perhaps in the second or even early in the third movie, Episode 9. And the real darkness behind the scenes, the thing that is really kind of pushing Kylo, he's going to have to make a decision between family and this other thing. I see Kylo Ren in some ways the analog with Darth Vader as far as the redemption of Anakin Skywalker, and I see Rey as the analog to Luke Skywalker. Now, are they brother and sister? I've been waffling on this back and forth. I have one theory that says no, they're cousins, and Kylo Ren is the son of Luke Skywalker. But I could also see Kylo Ren is the son of Han Solo and Leia. There, once he gets about 5 or 6 years old, he starts to be trained. Something happens. Perhaps when he was about 12, 13 years old, he really goes off the handle, runs away, and Luke kind of goes into seclusion. There's about a 10-year difference in age between the actors of Kylo Ren that play Kylo Ren and that play Rey. So I can see that around the time there may have been beginnings of a falling out, or they're scared. Rey is born. Luke senses that she is force sensitive from the start, and they hide her in seclusion before Kylo Ren really knows. I can see that. It kind of makes Rey also kind of a Moses figure in some ways, and similar to Luke and him being hidden from his real father and mother, and obviously his mother dies. But in the prequels, there's no hint that they know that Luke is force sensitive. It's just a good bet, so they hide them. But I'm thinking Rey showed force sensitivity. She doesn't realize it, so she's kind of in between. I don't expect to see her start moving things, but it wouldn't surprise me at all that she is the Jedi that we expect. But I think it's going to be more of a combined effort with her and Luke turning Kylo later in the series, and then the real Sith, the real darkness behind everything, who I think is Andy Serkis's character, that's who they end up fighting in the third one. Perhaps Luke sacrifices himself and those two defeat, in which case could be, there's lots of speculation about that, but I think that's where the real pull behind the First Order is. So we've come to number one. So what is my number one top of my top 5? So I've been thinking long and hard about this, and that is who is dead when Rey is crying. We have seen it over and over again. There's speculation galore that it's Chewie or it's Han Solo. Some have even said it's Finn laying there, perhaps after he gets his arm chopped off. The more I watch it and the more I see where it is in the trailers, the more I start to believe it's no one we've seen yet. The reason I say this is due to the expression on her face and the crying. Rey is in an extreme emotional state. Now I can understand if it's Han Solo, because she's waiting for her family, and BB-8 comes and fetches, and they go off, and I think that's how Poe Dameron gets caught. I think so. You could say this is a bonus plot twist here. I think BB-8 has the plans, knows how to get her back to her family, and I think when we see those things when Chewie and Han are in, I think they're already landed back where the rebels are. So I can kind of see it, but to me the emotional state is way too strong for that to be the truth, when it'd probably be a few days that they've known each other. And I can understand the loss of hope, but what I really think is early on when they're looking for Finn, or perhaps Poe Dameron after he escapes, is when they do the burning of the villages. And I think that as they're leaving, that scene is what we see of someone we don't know, but who is very close to Rey, perhaps a surrogate mother or surrogate father figure, a family member, the closest thing she's got to family. And that happens the evening before Finn shows up with her. So there's a burning there, and it kind of sparks her to move away from where she is. Finn shows up, and then they go on their adventure, and then she's told later hope is not lost, it is found, and the hope is all that. And I think that's kind of in that end of the first act, if you will, of she needs to find. Otherwise, if it is near the end, as a lot of people speculate, and the voiceover that we've had about hope is not lost today, it's found, it ends the entire first episode of the new trilogy, if you will, on a very low note. And it does not lift it on a high. Normally, you have kind of a high note on that first, and you have that dark second chapter where the heroes are really put to the test, and then you have a resolution of all the conflict in the third. So I think it's the opening of the first act, not too dissimilar, again, for going back to the analog of Star Wars and Luke Skywalker, although that's the end of the second act, so I could see it there when Ben sacrifices himself so that they can leave, or it's the analog to his aunt and uncle being burned by the stormtroopers, and that's when he says to, and he's this whiny farm boy until that moment, and then he goes back to Ben and says, I will follow you, I want to be a Jedi like my father, I'll take you to Mos Eisley, I want to go with you to Alderaan, and it changes his character completely. And I think that is that same moment for Rey, and during the raid, a very close person is killed during that. She is absolutely heartbroken. She can't get over it. Then she learns about her real family when they escape in the Millennium Falcon, because she gets it running, and Finn is obviously trying to shoot, she's flying and he's at the controls of the guns. BB-8 tells them how to get to where they need to go, and that's where they go. It's overwhelming, and that's when she's told it is not lost, hope is not lost today, it is found, as in she has found hope because she is now connected with her family. So that's what I think, that the person that's dead in that scene with Rey crying is in the first or second act. It's someone we have not seen at all in any trailer, but we're going to know very soon that she's extremely connected to this, or someone in her community, and that's who it is. I don't think it's Han, I don't think it's Chewie, I don't think it's Finn, I think it's someone we haven't seen, an unnamed character that's going to be pivotal to get her to join, officially join the Rebels, and then seek her new path. So, those are my top 5 theories, plot theories about the upcoming Star Wars, with a bonus in there or two, of Star Wars Episode 7, which just sounds weird to me because back in the day we never called them 4, 5, and 6. It was just Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. So I'm just going to say The Force Awakens because that's the old school way. Forget Episode 1 through 3 ever happened. It's going to be great. And I'll see you in line, see you in the theater, and I'll post once I've seen the movie, we'll see how close I was, and it'll probably be just full of crap. So we'll do an interrogation, and I'll give you a reactionary video as well as how much I liked or didn't like the movie. It turns out to be Phantom Menace again. I think I'm never going to go see another Star Wars movie as long as I live. All right? Thanks. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for clicking like. Thanks for subscribing. See ya.